jobs and the Chinese staff workers. And speaking of coming together, our next speaker is Bill Henry, and he is planning a major initiative here in Harlem, Hands Across Harlem, that will be coming up in the fall of this year. So this action that we've started will be continuous, and we will have more and similar actions as we had today. So here's Bill Henry to talk about Hands Across Harlem that is coming up, that is being organized for this coming fall.
Good afternoon, my fellow human beings. And I'll say that again, hello, my fellow human beings. I'd like to add to that, this is a wonderful day to be alive. Many people, including Trayvon Martin, can't say that today. So what we have to do is take and be a voice for the people who cannot speak for themselves and speak out against the injustice that has the cause of them not being here today. When we talk about injustice, you see the image that I have on my shirt is the picture of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was an advocate of direct action against nonviolence. And I represent, my fellow human beings, the New York support group for the Martin Luther King Jr. Center. And I'd like to add a quote that Dr. King is famous for when he said that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I'd like to tag on to that a quote of another famous American. And if you notice, I didn't say another famous African-American leader or another famous black leader, I said another famous American leader, and that is Frederick Douglass. And Frederick Douglass told us that we take what we have and we keep what we have the strength to hold on to. He also said, you may not get all that you pay for in this life, but you definitely must pay for all that you get. And the way that we pay for doing the things and the way that we pay for our freedom is through direct action. And if you don't believe it, look at where we are today. Look at where we were 60 years ago before the leaders like Dr. King stood up and put their lives on the line in direct action to make it a better place for all of us to live. All of us. And that example has been perpetuated and followed around the world. You can see it happen in South Africa with the emergence of Nelson Mandela and the fight of the ANC against apartheid. You can see most recently what went on in Cairo, Egypt, what went on in Morocco, what's going on in Jordan and the other places, Yemen and the Middle East. All of these people decided to take a page from our leaders and take a direct action approach. What we're going to do in the early fall is to say, let me say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, we are at war. Some of you might not realize that to the fullest extent to which I mean that. But we're at war, and we're at war against violence. Okay, and the violence is having an adverse impact on our quality of life and on our community. And it's going to be incumbent for us to stand up and say, we don't want to see this continue within our community. And that's what Hands Across Harlem is going to be. It's a direct action initiative to combat violence, to take the guns off of the streets so that we can say, oh, it's a wonderful day to be alive, and there won't be as many people missing because, ladies and gentlemen, we're making too many trips. We want to end that trail to jail, we want to end the trips to the graveyard, and we want to have to end those trips to the emergency room that could be avoided if we got together and worked as a cohesive and unified community. So in the early fall, what we're going to do is we're going to extend the human chain from one end of Harlem across Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, which is a perfect venue to be able to do something in the memory of Dr. King. If you believe in the things that my colleagues and fellow activists have talked about, then you should want to become actively involved. I extend an invitation to you today to say, when you hear more about Hands Across Harlem, that you'll be here, that we'll be counting on you, and we want you to pass the word on to everyone you know, friends, relatives, neighbors, loved ones, and have them come out, because in unity is their strength. Again, we talked about Dr. King and we talked about Frederick Douglass, and they said 10 voices are more powerful than one, 10,000 more powerful than 10, and 10 million more powerful than 10,000. So that's what we have to do. We have to come together, not as men and women, not as old and young, not as Christian or Jew or Muslim or non-believer, not as any of those things, but as human beings.
That's right.
Because it's our future that's at stake, and we have to make the investments that's necessary to ensure that we have that quality of life. Because I will tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, and I will end on this note. A bullet does not discriminate. A bullet doesn't care how old you are, how young you are, what your socioeconomic status is, how much money you have, how much you don't have, what your sex or your gender or your sexual orientation or your religious convictions or beliefs. If you're at the wrong end of a barrel of a gun, the outcome is going to be final. And as Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, the dead can never be brought back to life. I want to see you out here in the future as part of that family going across Hands Across Harlem. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.